Okay, so our group is taking Greece, obviously. Thank you all for watching. My name is Hunter.
Mary.
Omar.
Mikayla. Okay, can one of you tell me the name of a god?
Jesus.
Jesus ain't no God.
A Greek guy. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Apollo.
Good
Apollo.
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 Apollo. Zeus. Apollo.
Okay, can one of you name a goddess of Greek gods? Desiree.
Aphrodite.
Can you name another Greek god? Name.
Athena.
Say god.
Oh, God. God. Aries. No, no.
Can you name another Greek goddess? Adam.
Hera.
Adam. Can any of you know one of the major cities of Greece? Starts with an A.
Huh?
Oh,
Wait, what? Athens?
Athens.
What are you talking about?
I said it right. Oh, I got it right. What was it? Athens.
For writing and education, the Greeks had 24 letters in their alphabet, and they used the cryptide to write. That was their writing style between 12,000 BC and 300 BC. And for their education, boys went to school to learn reading and writing, and girls did not go to school, but their mothers taught them how to sew, cook, and if they knew how, they would teach them to read and write and how to take care of the household. This is their writing style that they use. They did not just use letters, they used symbols also. This is some more of their letters and symbols. Climate, for ancient Greece, they had the Mediterranean climate, which is mild, rainy, warm, and dry. It was important for fishing and aquaculture, as in sea life and fish, and human health, agriculture, as in farming, water systems, and forest ecosystems. This is just a picture showing this is where they got most of the bad weather, and up here it's got the low weather and low rain. And this would be like hurricanes, and then this would just be like shower. They didn't really have the biggest impact on weather. They just had changing climate and then the temperature was dropping. This is just another picture of where they got the high and low weather. And then they had current adaptation strategies with migration, the vulnerability of population to climate change, the technology to consumption habits, and the more rising temperature, the more money they had to spend. For religion, they had 9 major gods and goddesses. They were Poseidon, Zeus, Athena, Hades, Apollo, Ares, Hera, and Aphrodite. And then Greece was divided into different districts, and each district had a different god or goddess that they would worship the most, but they would all worship different gods and goddesses, but they had one specific that they would like worship. This is Zeus, this is Gina. And this is how they would worship their gods and goddesses.
Now, something I found really cool about their government style is that they were actually the first civilizations to think of and successfully implement democracy, which is a form of government that we still see to this day. They saw tyranny and dictatorship as something horrible and terrible that no country should go through. So for that reason, they made a new style of government that was basically the exact opposite of what tyranny and dictatorship was. Now, they had the purest form of democracy of any other civilization. The only difference was between their democracy and the current democracy is that over 50% of the population could not vote because they were either women, children, or slaves. They were also at one point in their existence a oligarchy and a monarchy. And one of their famous great leaders was Alexander the Great. He was an influential leader who led them through many conflicts, many struggles, and he helped them become a prosperous, successful nation. This is just outside of one of their courts, and this is where some of the leaders would speak to the public. The ancient Greece had 3 kinds of laws. The first of which was family laws, which basically governed how you would raise your family, your children. That's what family laws governed. Also, they had public laws, which basically governed when you left your house, how you could act. They covered the basics, as in no stealing, no murdering, and those sorts. And then they had procedural laws, which governed how government officials and judges would execute their jobs, so they made sure that they weren't biased in any way, shape, or form. That is a picture of the democracy that was upheld in ancient Greece. And that is actually one of their courts.
Geography for the ancient Greece was rocky and uneven soil, and due to the rocky and uneven soil, there was only 20% farm. There was 3 regions: the coast, as in the beaches, the lowlands as the plateaus and plains, and then the mountains as Mount Olympus. That is a picture of the beaches, a picture of mountain. The impact was distance between city-states, clothing, trade, and democracy were influenced by ancient Greeks, which all that crumbled in, everything fell down due to the government and the clothing and the trade and the swimming and the moving states and cities wouldn't happen anymore due to all the crumbling. In the past and present, environment and agriculture had included a chapter of qualitative and quantitative aspects. And that's just a picture of Greece fields.
Now, one thing I found interesting is that even though Greece was located in a bad area for farming, 80% of their entire population was involved in some way, shape, or form in agriculture. And just to give you some perspective how much each person made, their currency was the drachma, and an unskilled worker would make half a drachma a day. Most citizens made about 2 drachma a day, and some doctors and sculptors could even make up to 6 drachmas a day. And 100 drachma could get you 1 mina, and 600 mina could get you a talent, which is worth about equivalent about 57 pounds of silver. That is actually their currency. That is actually a picture of a farm.
Okay, so the ancient Greeks had a lot of good, their culture was pretty interesting. In their fashion, males, it was basically the same, but the males, it was called a chiton, and it was knee length or shorter, and for women it was the peplos, which was floor length because they thought it barbaric to show too much skin. And it basically all it was just a piece of fabric that was put over your body, and most of the time it was homemade and made of heavy wool material, but depending on the job it would be used for in the season, it might have been made differently. On special occasions they would wear leather sandals, and men would wear white brimmed hats called itassos. Okay, so the food was a big way that the people, animals, and gods differentiated each other. People would cook their food, animals would eat it raw, and gods didn't have to eat it all. And that was the real big difference between them, other than like gods are magical and animals had 4 legs. Every meal consisted of wine, bread, and olive oil. They thought that in every glass of wine, the essence of the god Dionysus, who was the god of wine, was like his essence was in that. And then every piece of bread, Persephone, who was the goddess of harvest, the essence of her was in every piece of bread. And then they also had fruits, vegetables, fish, and a lot of beans, including green beans and I can't remember what it's called. But and meat was very rare and expensive, so only the rich got it, and it was also served at festivals, so that'd be the only time the poor would have the chance to get it. Those are some olives from an olive tree. And most of the time, the adults were the ones who would go out to do something that would benefit the family, or they would work, and children always stayed back and learned or played. And the Greek actually invented the yo-yo, although it wasn't patented until many years later. And they made it, and it was natural for them to paint gods or goddesses on there. And as they grew older and left their immediate family, they would leave it on the family mantle, which just paid homage to that. They also played a game called hoop, which was very common, and it was, as we would see, as a big hula hoop, and they would use a rod and hit it and keep it rolling as much as it could. Acrobatics was also a big thing that they had. They would watch it. The parents would perform it as much as they could, and children would learn it. The older ones would do it to, and entertain the younger ones. That is a picture of hoop, an adult doing it. Their art, there was the Charioteer of Delphi, which was a statue, and it was very important. It captured how the West prepared itself for the next few hundred years, and it also represented the balance between geometric representation and realism. There was also the Korai statues, for women Korai, for men chorus. Korai was, she always wore, there were multiple statues and they developed throughout, which other civilizations, they recorded the development. For the women, the Korai statues, it was the dress, and for the chorus, it was the anatomy, and both the facial expressions changed, and that was also something shown. There's also the Minoan art, which really just showed the Greeks' connection to their environment, society, and natural order. That is the Charioteer of Delphi statue. This is some of the timeline.
So in 1599 BC, Greece had a Trojan War, which really, if I remember, had to do with the Rome. Greece in 776 BC, Greece had their first Olympic Games, which dealt with horseback riding, and their first game was to run and run and run and run until you pretty much fell down and died. In 650 BC, Greece had their first lyric poems.
So it does say watch the video. I thought I was going to have enough prepared to watch, but I don't. But what I am doing with it is I'm taking religion, some of the culture, like the food and fashion, and I'm using that. I'm trying to put as much information within the 5 minutes of my documentary without putting too much, but I'm really focusing on the religion, government, food, and fashion, and that's what I'm trying to do with it. So, thanks for watching.